My name is Ioana Vrabie. I'm an artist working with hybrid photography, combining analog and digital processes together with material interventions. My work begins with moving through the space and connecting deeply with my surroundings. What I try to represent is not only what I see, but what I feel. This visceral way of working is actually deeply connected to my childhood. I grew up daydreaming. It was a way to escape and navigate through complex situations and conflictive environment. Unexpectedly, my childhood daydreams were revealed later through photography, thanks to the displacement and movement that I experienced in my life, creating these dreamy, multi-layering images. I moved more than 30 times in my life and I've lived in 4 different countries. I was born in communist Romania, grew up in capitalist Italy, and moved to London where I studied photography at London University of Arts. And then in 2020, I moved to Spain where I now live. I also worked as a flight attendant for 8 years, traveling across the globe in a suspended state between arrivals and departures, packing and unpacking. There is a sense of threshold running through my work. It's a state of about to, something suspended between in and out, before and after. My process begins with analog photography, use mainly multiple exposure on analog film, which means that I capture in the same frame different images to compose one final photograph. After shooting, the film is developed and I edit the images on a light box. I observe and I search the ones that carry that threshold feeling, that about to moment, that specific tension that brings to the creation of this peaceful third reality. These images are then professionally scanned and printed. The Hahnemühle archival paper gives my images material presence and durability. Recently, I also have extended the printing process to other surfaces, so I really like the effect of the print on silk, georgette. Because of the characteristic of the fabric, the image becomes lighter, more transparent, and it feels a bit like a fluid, like a film breathing in the space. I also work by layering bridal tulle with embroidery over the printed images, introducing gesture, touch, and time. Through embroidery, I bring the work back to analog, feeling inspired. The inspiration came from the square structures of Romanian traditional weaving. So I create what I call tactile or analog pixels. They are, to me, small information units built through touch. And they are also a reminder of the fact that in the current world, everything tends to become data. While as humans, we shouldn't forget that we are also physical, sentient, and rooted in the body. This dialogue between photography and embroidery is also very personal because my father's Sorky 5 was my first camera. And on the other hand, my grandmother is the one who taught me embroidery when I was a child. So somehow their presence and legacy continues through my work. This work, Parallel Dimensions 2, is an installation. It is a triple analog exposure film strip printed on silk georgette. I exposed the film in 2019 when I was traveling from Ibiza, the place where I was living in, to Finland, the place where I went on a residency to, via Tuscany, which is the place in Italy where I grew up. What I was looking for, it was a way to make these places coexist on the same visual field, not as separate locations, but as a continuous space shaped by memory and experience. I chose to make an installation which is hanging from the ceiling just to give the viewer the idea of how the vision is affected by the point of view, because it's an installation, it's a piece that you can move around and see through different layers of transparency. This work, My Home on the Clouds 2, was created through 2 different exposures, one taken in Finland and the other one taken in Ibiza. The straight embroidered lines represent the search for stability. So here, home is not a place, but a beauty that forms and dissolves within movement, a bit like the clouds in the sky. For me, beauty is no longer an escape from reality, but a way to move through it, to hold complexity, pain, and transformation.